Hey, good morning. um, so welcome. I got a quick video for you today. Last couple times I've been doing some training on how to find your ideal prospects and how to get a hold of them. One thing that I would love for you to be able to do is double your MRR in the next 30 days. And the way that you double MRR the fastest way we found, so when I work with one-on-one clients, is to go after your top customers, the best customers that you have, and go and find more of them. Because usually the best customers that you have are the ones that have the biggest pain. And so I'm going to walk through today how to identify who your best customers are so you can go and find more of them. So talked a little bit about this mind map. I'm going to zoom out so you can kind of see what it looks like here. But it's got a lot of, we have some, there's a lot of resources and trainings in this and templates. If you want this whole mind map, it's $7. You can get it at corralclientcatcher.com. It's not totally finished yet. I'm just still putting the stuff in there. So if you go to there, you can just put in your name and I'll put you on the wait list and let you know when it's ready. But the one we're going to talk about today, let me minus all the other ones here so we can get focused. The one we're going to talk about today is finding your perfect prospects. And let me minus this. So when I look at how do we grow a SaaS company fast? How do you increase revenue the fastest? Most of the time, it's a matter of finding who your best customers are, and then go and attracting more of them. And it's the mistake that I see a lot of founders making is that they rely on growth based on the amount of organic traffic that they're getting. And I mean, that's fine. The problem is you don't really have control over who's visiting your site unless you're like amazing at content, you're really, really good at content, and you're attracting your perfect customers and filtering out the ones that aren't a good fit. More than 50% of the traffic that lands on your site may not be qualified to work with you, or even have for you to be able to solve the problem that they have. So the easiest way to grow fast is to just go after the customers that you know you can help, that have the biggest pain. So the way that we do that, and I'm going to show you a template I call the Niche Finder and PPQ template, and it's PPQ is what stands for Perfect Prospect Qualifiers. And what I'm going to show you how to do today is identify who your best clients are, and then also find the signs that you that you can help them. Because each prospect that you potentially work with gives off signs that you can identify that will let you know if you can help them. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to analyze your top customers. Now, there's a couple of questions that I'll ask you in a second, and that you'll go through. One of them is, how long has the customer been with you, and how much have they paid? The longer the customer's been with you, and the more that they've paid, there's a bigger chance or more likely chance that you have someone that you can solve a problem for. And that has a big problem. So here's a quick example. So let's say you're selling hammers, right? If you're selling a hammer, you can sell a hammer to someone who's trying to build a birdhouse for as a gift for their aunt, right? And that hammer is probably worth maybe $10 to somebody using it to build a birdhouse, or fix a hole, or whatever it might be, right? But if you sold that hammer, or to someone who was trapped in a car going underwater, and the hammer was going to break them out of the car and save their life, that hammer automatically now is worth way more than $10. It could be worth hundreds, thousands of dollars, right? Now, what's happened is the hammer hasn't changed. It's the same hammer, same design, same everything. What's changed is the customer's situation. And so your product solves tiny pains for some people, and then it solves huge pains for other people. And the ones that it solves huge pains for, those are the ones that are most likely to buy your product and not quibble about pricing. They'll pay a year in advance. Like, the benefits of working with your top customers, the ones that you solve the biggest pain for, are just like outstanding. And so instead of going after the small deals like the $10, $15 a month or whatever, and if you have a product, I typically work with founders who have at least $100 ARPU, because that means that they're solving a bigger problem. Now, that's not always the case. Even if you sell a smaller product, value-wise, you can usually position your product to solve a much bigger pain. We worked with one of my clients sold this tool, that a really amazing tool that solved a huge problem, and it turned a bunch of graphics. You put in your graphic, your color scheme, and your copy, and then it made like 10,000 different graphics that you could use for Facebook, Twitter, ads. And he was selling this tool to smaller companies, like, designers, or, companies who just needed a few graphics at a time. And they would pay maybe like $10 a month for it, right? Because it's way overkill for someone who doesn't need to create thousands of images a month. So, you know what? Can you guys hear me okay? If there's anybody watching, I see the numbers going up and down, but I don't know if there's anybody actually watching this, and that's fine. I enjoy doing these anyways. Can you just put like a quick yes in the chat or something if you can hear me? I want to make sure this is working. Every day I do one of these lives, I try a new setup to see if it works. So, all right. So anyways, he, instead of focusing on these smaller customers, he realized that his tool solved a bigger pain for, and this might seem obvious to you and me right now, but solved a much bigger pain for agencies who were doing creating images for clients. So they would pay a designer hundreds, thousands of dollars a month to create all these social media images and Facebook posts and ads. And that wasn't worth $10 to them a month. That was worth like a couple $100 a month. So as soon as he figured that out, he started selling to these higher end clients, and the sales process was different, but that's fine. He had to learn how to kind of sell to a new market, but guess what? He ended up selling the product. He sold it and moved on to something else. But for some of you, that's a dream, to be able to sell your product and move on to another product. And if not, you probably could have scaled that significantly over time. So look at your top customers. I'm going to show you the worksheet in a second. List the prospect qualifiers, perfect prospect qualifiers, what we call them. And the question that you want to ask yourself for the qualifiers is, what qualifiers, what things would your customer have to meet for you to get, what qualifiers would your customer have to meet for you to get paid only after you've delivered a result? So think about that for a second. It's kind of scary. It's a new way to think about your product. So if you could pick any client to work with, any client that you wanted to work with, what qualifiers, what would they have to meet, what criteria would they have to meet for you to say, yeah, there's a 99% chance that I can get you the result that you're looking for? A good way to answer this question is to think about what criteria would they meet for you to not be able to guarantee a result, right? So one of my clients works with, they allow you to make and receive calls on Slack, right? So It's much easier than using like Ring Central because everything's integrated with the Slack, and customer service people can take calls, make calls, and all the data is kept in Slack, right? So what qualifier would a customer have to meet for you to guarantee results in this case? Well, like they need to have Slack, and most likely they already need to have some other phone system. So either Ring Central or something else, right? So if they have these two tools and they have a sales force of more than 10 people, there is a 90% chance they can make your job much easier. And so now that you know that, now that you know that you can solve who you can solve the pain for, then those are the customers that you should be going after. Now there's, I'm sure you're probably having lots of questions right now, like, what if the top 5% of my customers are each different? What if they're in different niches or markets or market segments? What if each, my tool solves 100 different problems? My advice for you is to just go after one niche that you know has a big problem that's a problem that's shared among people in that same industry. And I'll show you in a second. So think about that question. What qualifiers do they have to meet? Then the last one is be confident. Don't be desperate. So when you're reaching out to customers, now that you know that you can help them, you can be much more confident. You don't have to be humble when you reach out. You can say, we help companies with 10 or more salespeople who are using Ring Central or another phone provider and Slack. We help them save their salespeople's time and eliminate the need for complicated CRMs or whatever. And we know that we can help you. If you're using Slack, we know we can help. Would it make sense to chat, right? So you can be a lot more confident now that you know you can help them. So let's jump into I'm going to show you the niche finder and PPQ qualifier, the thing that we use for how to figure all this stuff out. And I'm gonna in the document here, the mind map, you can I'll link to it here. Let me shrink this down just a bit. That's how I want it. Here we go. Niche finder and PPQ template. All right, so let me zoom in to see it. So here's the process. Pick the client name. What is the URL? What is the industry or niche? How much revenue to date are they doing? Have they done? How long have they been a customer? So this gives you a good idea. If they've been a customer for a while and they paid you a lot of money, there's a chance that you're solving a good problem for them. There's also a chance they forgot about you and they're just paying you and they don't know that you're paying, that they're paying you, which is a big fear that we entrepreneurs have. Like, oh no, we don't want to reach out to our customers because what if they forgot about us? Well, that's like an unfounded fear, because if you never reach out to them, you'll never know, and they're not going to be too happy when they find out they've been paying forever for a tool they don't need. So your job is to, as a founder, is help them get the right fit, whether or not it's your tool. I know that sounds crazy, but you really should be a consultative measure. Anyways, that's a side note. What are their use cases? How are they using the product? So if you have a product that can be used for different use cases, this is where you put that. An example would be sending new leads from Facebook to active campaign, syncing email with CRM. If you've got a complicated tool, then there's chances are that they're using it for lots of different use cases. But what are their main use cases? What feedback have they given? So if they've left feedback somewhere or given you feedback about how much they love the tool, again, that's a good sign that they really need your tool, that you're solving a big pain. How strong is the pain? So we rank that up from 1 to 10, 1 as being the lowest and 10 being the highest. So you might have to guess here. What is the, if it's a really strong pain, or you don't know, then it's, you just err on the side of lower. The more that you understand the market, the more you'll understand how big the pain is. But you want to go after someone who has like a 10, 9 or 10, 8, 9, 10. Then you want to quantify how much does this pain cost in time or resources, money or resources. And this is important because if you can solve a $10,000 problem for $1,000, that's much better. It's much easier to get that sale than it is to solve a $2,000 problem for $1,000 a year, right? So if your product costs $50 or $1,000 a year, or $2,000 or $5,000, you want to make sure that the problem that you're solving is costing them way more than that in time, money, and resources. Usually, you should be charging 10%. This is a really rough estimate, but 10% of what the problem costs. So if it's a $10,000 problem, you can safely charge $1,000 that, okay? And you quantify it. So for this example, this tool actually replaces one full-time employee. And you could probably hire that employee for $2,500 a month. And that means that's a $30,000 a year expense. You're saving them $30,000, okay? And that doesn't even include these other things: upset customers, overselling mistakes, mistakes in inventory. Like, you can quantify all of that stuff in either time, money, or resources. And that's not always money. Your perfect prospects don't always want a money savings. And that's a mistake that we make, is we assume everyone wants to save more money. But in higher value clients, time is their most valuable resource. So if you can save them time and stress and headache, then that you'll have better success than if you position it for money, right? What is the problem you solve for them? You list the exact problem. What are the specific results you help them achieve? And get really, really specific. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about specificity and why that is one of the most important parts of cold outreach, is being specific about what it is that you can do and the promise that you can make. How well do you know this market? Obviously, you should probably go after a market that you know better, because you understand the pains and how the market works. Who's the company that feels this pain the most? How big is the market? How easy is it to reach a decision maker? And then you get to, what are the qualifiers? What are the qualifiers they need to meet for us to guarantee a result, 80% or higher? Usually this is 2 to 4 things. So, example, I'm going to use our group member Ian Naylor, for example. He has a tool called Hyperize. So what would somebody have to meet? What qualifiers would somebody have to meet for their tool, Hyperize, which is a great tool, by the way, to be effective? Well, most likely they already need to be doing cold outreach. They probably have sales, LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So those are 2 qualifiers. The third one is they need to be sending at least, they need to have an outbound sales team with 3 or more people. And they already need to be spending money on a tool like Mailshake or Reply or whatever, right? Those are 4 qualifiers. Now, if somebody meets those 4 qualifiers, Hyperize can jump in and make their cold email or their email outreach, like, whatever, 10 times more effective, whatever that might be. I don't know what the exact promise is. But look on the flip side, if I'm an entrepreneur, I'm not spending any money on cold outreach. I maybe send a few emails a month. I'm not spending any money on any outreach tools. I don't have LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Can Hyperize help me? Well, yeah, it can, but it's going to be able to help so much more someone who already meets those qualifiers, who already is doing the thing that Hyperize will not. So Hyperize doesn't solve every single problem. It just makes your current outreach more effective. And so if you're not doing outreach, then it's not, you're not going to get the full value from it, right? Does that make sense? So those are the PPQs. If you want to grab this, you can do it again. You can grab it for $7 at client. I'll just go to the URL so you can actually see it. CrowdClientCatcher.com. And you can grab it here. It's not launched yet, so I'll just put you on the wait list. When it's ready to be launched, I'll send out an email to you, and you can download all these templates. This will save you a lot of time having to figure all this out yourself, and hopefully it'll get you some results. You can actually see some people responding back and getting clients, getting demos scheduled, and then I would love that. So Cool. I'm gonna bounce out. I got a couple of meetings today. I got a busy day today. I hope this is helpful for you. A little bit longer than other videos, but I think it was necessary to kind of go through all this. And then just pop in any questions you have, and I'll be around answering them. So we'll talk to you later. See ya.